Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will learn from personal stories and explore thought-provoking topics, all with one goal in mind: living a more purposeful life. Welcome, everybody, to this week's show. It is always an honor to be here with you. I am pumped to share with you this week's conversation with the Northwest Nomads, Ashley and Jordan. They're full-time travelers. They're hosting this fantastic event out in Oregon this September. And actually, Andrea sent them my way. She had known about them in her research for our jump to full-time travel life. And she's like, man, you got Jerrod, get them on the show. They got a great idea. They got an event, like help them out. So we're bringing them on. But now I got to tell you, this is the first set of guests that in our pre-show interview, they asked me this question. Hey, are you Trey's dad? So I don't know how to take. I guess super cool they know Trey, and yeah, our paths are crossing, the generations are mingling and learning and stuff. But man, I feel young and spry. I'm not ready to be going around being introduced as Trey's dad, so I'm gonna need him to maybe slow his roll down a little bit. Like, give me some room here. But in all honesty, in seriousness, I'm excited to share this story with you. But before I do, please, please, please help us out here at the On Purpose podcast and like, subscribe, share on your favorite podcast app or over on YouTube or all of them. And if you're really like, hey, I really want to support even deeper, join us on Patreon, where you can sign up for a monthly membership, and that money goes directly towards our mission, which is brightening the day of people around the world by sharing inspiring, thought-provoking, and purposeful content, such as this week's episode with our newest friends, Ashley and Jordan from the Northwest Nomads. Enjoy the interview. Ashley and Jordan, welcome to the On Purpose podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here, both here today. I don't do couples interviews that often, so this is super fun.
Nice.
We're excited.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having us.
Talk to me about where the heck you two are, because you're travelers, and I always like to know when I talk to my travelers, where are they at? Where are they coming from in the world right now?
Well, right now we're in Klamath Falls, Oregon. We were just in Havasu down there a little bit longer than we expected, but we finally made it back up into Oregon.
Had some pretty unexpected plans change.
Yeah, we kind of went through something all nomads and travelers fear is like losing your home, you know what I mean? And so we're kind of going through a little bit. It's been rough. We actually had a catastrophic engine failure in our 40-foot schoolie, so we unfortunately had to leave our home down in Arizona and figure out a way to get us back up into Oregon.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a fear of the traveler, right? Is losing when your vehicle breaks down, it's your whole house.
So it's
we started our nomadic journey separately, and neither one of us have experienced something like this.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's the universe coming together to teach something, right?
I mean, life is a big lesson, man, so definitely a learning experience, and it's not always, you can't control everything. So you just kind of got to go with the flow, keep a positive attitude. And that's just what we're trying to do. So as you can see, we're living up in a hotel right now. We had a van shipped up from Arizona. So we're going to be downsizing a little bit. It's a large van, but we're going to be downsizing. And, it's a change, man, but you got to roll with it.
Yeah, no, and I love it. And that's literally a microcosm for life, right? Is shit that you're not planning for. When it happens, how do you deal with it?
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things being out on the road teaches you, man. You got to have some flexibility, because very few things go like you think they're gonna.
No, yeah. It don't matter what your plan is. It just, life happens.
Yeah. All right, before we get too deep, though, because you guys got a great story, I'm super excited and researching you. I got some good questions that I want to hear answers to. But before I do that, we got to warm you up. It's just like the bus life, right? You just don't jump in a brand new bus and race it across the country without some small trips to figure things out. So, all right, you guys can either answer these as a couple or individually. I don't care. You get to pick. But I need to know. My people want to know, if you're stranded on an island for the rest of your life, what food are you two eating?
Let's do it. One, two, three.
What?
See if our answers are the same. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Chicken.
Tacos. She says tacos. I say tacos. She says chicken.
Chicken tacos. There we go. We'll do chicken tacos.
There we go, man. We just do chicken tacos. We meet in the middle.
All right. If each of you could have a superpower, what would it be and why would you want it?
Go ahead.
I would time travel.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I would. I was thinking like flying or something, you know. I mean, when you think of superpowers, you always think of like the movies and stuff. But time travel, that's a pretty good one. I'd probably go with that one.
What are you going to do with time travel then, Ashley? Where are you going and what do you want to do with that?
I feel like if I could time travel, I feel like I would jump into the past before I would jump into the future for some reason. I feel like I'd love to like jump into the 1960s and see what that was like. And I feel like going to the past, more so the future, would just change my perspective and maybe be grateful for a lot of things I have now.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that.
Oh, man, I love that. I love it. So you go into the past to be grateful for today. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, favorite book. What's your guys' favorite books?
I got to be honest, man. I don't do much reading.
He reads more like bus mechanic and manuals and things like that.
I mean, the reading I do is more,
How-tos.
Yeah.
How-tos. I like poetry. Anything from Rupi Kaur I like.
Rupi Kaur?
Kaur is Kaur.
Okay, nice. Should I look that one up? All right, you get dinner with one person. You get to have dinner with somebody. They could be past, future, present, whatever. Who do you want to have dinner with, and what are you hoping to learn from them?
I mean, I don't know.
I would go with Mac Miller.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. What would you ask him?
I don't know. Honestly, I'd just love to pick his brain. I feel like musically, he's so talented, and spiritually, he's so inclined. I'd just love to have a conversation with him.
Okay. Jordan, what about you?
I'd probably have to go with like Gary Vee or something like that. You know, just picking his brain on some business and you know, the dude preaches empathy and understanding, and he just seems like he's got he just seems like a cool dude, you know.
Yeah.
And smart, you know.
Gary Vee, yeah, he just came up in a discussion I was having the other day. He's changed his message a little bit because back when I used to listen to him, you know, maybe 10 years ago, he was all about hustle and grind and like have a 9 to 5 and then work more. And yeah, now his message today is about a little more empathy and more like just being grateful for what we got.
You know, now I think he's kind of trying to reach a little bit more of a younger crowd, which, you know, it's an understanding can be a confusing world, you know. So, you know, but still, he's got a good message, you know.
Yeah, he seems like he does a good job. I thought for sure you're going to pick the dude who built your bus so you could ask him what the hell's wrong with that engine.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
All right, how you two feeling? Warmed up? The dogs are warmed up in the back.
I gotta be honest, man. I don't know why, but I'm nervous. You know,
I'm excited.
Oh hell no.
Maybe that is, you know, and I'm excited, and it makes me feel like it's the nerves or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, nerves are good though. Nerves mean you're doing something new and you're excited for it. So I love being nervous.
Right?
There you go. Yeah. All right, so let's talk. I want to kind of pick up your stories. Let's start with Ashley. Talk to me about your transition to your bus life from the beginning. Like, how did you come to that decision? Where were you going from, and what were you hoping to get out of it?
I feel like my story was such on a whim. I had been working in hospitality and management for all of my life, and then I feel like honestly my transition happened from 1 month to the next. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to stay in this job that I was probably going to stay in for the rest of my life because I didn't know what else to do. And then I watched a documentary on Netflix called what was it? Something happiness. Expedition Happiness. And literally from 1 month to the next, I had an apartment in Daytona Beach. A month later, moved back in with my mom to Jacksonville. Just
Relax.
our dogs are going crazy.
That's all right. They're part of the show.
I mean, we got 3 of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
love it.
Yeah.
So I was in an apartment in Daytona Beach, watched that documentary, and from there it was literally like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, how could I do that? So from that moment, I was trying to figure out how to get a bus. How do I even buy a bus? I moved to Jacksonville with my mom for about a month. And after a month being there, I found a bus in Jacksonville. It was the only one I went to look at. I was super excited. I wanted the lifestyle. So I bought the bus and started converting it myself with my friends for about a year. And then I hit the road full time in 2020.
Oh, wow. How had you done like mechanic work before, or did you just jump in and watch YouTube videos?
I did very basics with a family member at the time. And then I needed new injectors and things that I was not capable of doing. So knowing that I was going to be on the road by myself, not knowing when I was coming back with just my dog, I did take it to a shop and get it totally ran through mechanically and spent thousands of dollars, but it worked in the end because I had no breakdowns. There was no complaints. I had an easy ride back then.
I love that's such a good story. Jordan, how about you? You started off in a van.
Yeah. Man, I don't even know. 2006, 2007. I just it's always just kind of made sense for me as far as just the freedom aspect of it. So yeah, I was kind of I didn't do a lot of traveling. It was more or less kind of just around Oregon and stuff like that. And it was definitely the times where, nowadays, it's a big social thing too. It's a norm, so to speak. And then it was kind of I was just a dude living in a van, it was more homeless style. Or at least that was the outlook of society on it. But it just made sense to me, you know what I mean? Living small, not having so many things. And I've also, it's when you stay in one spot long enough, you don't realize how many things you just start to accumulate naturally, whether it's just furnishing your home and, and especially I have a background with in the automotive industry and stuff. So tools, I mean, that's a big thing. When we ran into this issue with the bus and we unloaded all that, I mean, the amount of tools I have is would fill the van that we just got, so it's it's rough. But yeah, I just started out just traveling in a van doing that. And I've kind of just, for the most part, always done it on and off, more so on than off. It just made sense to me,
Yeah, I love it. One of the questions I like to ask my traveling friends is, did you come to this life looking to escape something or to find something? Because I find a lot of people are usually in one or the other categories.
I'd say for me, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm from a small town in Oregon where, growing up, everybody knows everything about everything, so, so a little bit of it was escaping that small town and just seeing what else is out there. And then, yeah, finding freedom, finding new adventures, cause I mean, whether it's good or bad, it's all an adventure and you don't really know from one day to the next what is going to happen. When we took off, we didn't know our bus was going to blow up, I mean, and it's not fun, but it is an adventure, it's a learning experience. So I'd say for me, it'd be a little bit of both.
What about you, Ashley?
I definitely escaped.
Yeah.
I was looking for an escape and I found it on the road. I felt like I'm from Florida, originally from Miami, which is a very hard place to grow up in. You grow up quick, and I was just surrounded by unhealthy habits and toxic relationships, and I needed to get out of that. And I found my bliss on the road. I had never been more happier in my life. I had no bad days on the road.
So what does that blissful day look like? If you go back and you're like, man, talk to me about the very first day when you woke up or whatever, and you're like, this is life? What was that like? What were you doing?
I don't know why. I just always have this replaying thought in my head of this campsite in Colorado, in Leadville,
Oh
Colorado.
yeah, yeah.
I can't wait to go back to. I just like I had a view of this mountain and nobody was really there. It was probably not the right time of season. It was around October, but nobody was there. And the sunsets, the sky, the weather, the birds singing, the coyotes howling at night, it was bliss.
And now, how long have you each been on the road? So Jordan, you said 2006, 2007, and Ashley, how long has it been for you?
Uh Full time 2020. So
Okay.
this September it'll be 3 years.
Nice. That's a good stint.
Yeah, and
Jordan.
I wouldn't say. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, finish.
No, I wouldn't say I'd necessarily been on the road since '06, '07. You know, it was more or less just in a van, kind of doing some stuff around Oregon. As far as like really full time, like just there's no going back, 3 years maybe, as far as just like diving head first into it and just, just no going back was, I'd say that. But like, it was always like, outings, like hot spring, chasing waterfalls and hot springs and just lost in the woods, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like a lot of that, just, but, more local around Oregon area.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, man. I love the stories of the travelers and the people you meet around the campfire, because everybody has their own reasons for doing it. And I'm just always fascinated by like how you enriched your life.
Here.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, here's something else I throw out to you, Ashley and Jordan. Not only why am I here, but why are we here? Like, why did our paths cross?
Yeah.
Right? Like, nobody crosses by accident, especially in a lifestyle where we're all on the move. The fact that we meet at a certain place to share a moment in time is special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like sometimes the universe just provides you with, I mean, we never know, but, it's like, whether we're camped out somewhere and, we meet somebody that either helps us on part of our journey or teaches us a lesson or help, like in this scenario, just like good conversation and, just getting a message out there and telling a story. And, I mean, I don't know why, but it's all there for a reason,
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that's one of the things, you guys kind of hit on this, but I think that's one of the things that really unites this community. Why I find it so rewarding is the intentionality. Like, everybody lives intentional.
Right.
You have to plan, like, where are you getting water? Where are you dumping? Where are you getting gas? Like, how are you getting there? What route are you taking? So the fact that with all that intentionality, our paths meet means there's a greater good at play.
Hey, guys, sorry, man. Hey,
oh, you're good.
Come on. Relax. Come on, give them their toy or something.
I think it's awesome. Jordan,
you've been chill all morning. Like, all morning they've been just laying around, and then it figures as soon as we hop on, like, get rowdy.
No, I love it, man. I love it. We'll see if Chewy or BarkBox or somebody will listen to this episode, get a sponsorship. We'll send you some toys.
Yeah, come on, Chewy, need some toys.
Step it up, man. We got pit bulls that need toys. Jordan, tell me something that you've learned about yourself since you went on the road full time that kind of surprised you.
Oh man, I don't know, but one thing, man, patience is definitely. I always come back to that I don't feel like I have enough patience, and I can always be more patient in situations, and just. I don't know. It's a hard one. That's a hard one. That I feel like, especially lately, there's a lot of lessons I've been learning, and just things that humble me. You know what I mean? Like, I keep coming back to it. The bus. Like our house sitting in Havasu right now. That's definitely a humbling experience. So, but I think for the most part, like, just kind of being patient with things and not expecting things to just like necessarily always happen the way I want them to happen or happen right now.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I love that's a great answer. Fantastic. Ashley, what about you?
Resilience for sure. I feel like there's so many the positives to this lifestyle definitely outweigh the negatives, but the negatives and the downside could still be there. It is not easy. It is not easy. Sometimes finding a place to stay, finding drinkable water nearby, but all of those things, especially doing this by myself when I had no idea what the hell I was doing, you just you just go through it. And especially now being tested and still being like, this is the lifestyle I want to live. I live this way by choice. And these are just things that happen. And there's nothing I could do to change it or control it. And I'm just rolling with it.
That's great. I love it. And you said being tested, right? Because I think that's true, right? We're all tested in life. But I think so many times it's easy to go on autopilot. Kind of like Jordan was saying, back when you have a conventional life, you kind of go on autopilot and you miss that the universe is testing you to grow. Whereas here, like the tests are usually pretty apparent because there's some consequences if you don't pass it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and I feel like we definitely need, those tests to, I feel like, when you're in a conventional home and stuff like that, it's really easy to take for granted. You walk in, you flip a light switch, you turn the faucet on, the water comes out, I mean, things that we've all come accustomed to, but like, when you're on the road in whatever stage you are, I mean, you build it out, you still can flip a light switch and your lights come on, it's the same, but, that water doesn't come from the city. You're having to go and find a place to put that water. Things are like you said, more intentional, and I think it comes with a level of appreciation too. You have to work for it and you have to want it because it's not always easy. And like Ashley was saying, those tests and, it testing you, and that is where growth comes from. I feel like is in those trying times.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So talk to us about, just like we're talking about intentionality, universe is guiding us where we're supposed to be. Talk to us about you two meeting and how did that process come about?
Oh man, so she was traveling from Florida and I was coming from Oregon. We were around the Phoenix area, and we just had some mutual friends. And she ended up coming, and we were actually. So in Oregon, like, you can stay at casinos for free and stuff like that if you can't really find a spot. And especially, sometimes it's really hard to find a spot when you're in a larger city. So we were all kind of trying to find a spot where we could, stay for the night and all that. And we ended up at a casino because I'm like, hey, I know it's a safer place. And, when you can't find anywhere else, let's just try it out. So we ended up meeting at the casino where mutual friends at the time, she was in contact with, and then just met, and we ended up just hanging out, traveling together for a while, and then one thing just led to the next, and here we are.
I don't think we ever parted ways, and it's been
I mean,
going on 3 years.
Yeah, well, there was one time she did fly back home to Florida for Christmas, and then honestly, it was weird because like when she left. We were west of Phoenix at that point. And she left, and I was seriously thinking to myself, I'm like, because as you're traveling, you meet people come and go. Sometimes you see them again, sometimes you never see them again.
Right.
And when she left there right before Christmas, I was like, I'm probably never gonna see this girl again, So I was trying to be all tough and whatever. Safe travels, like But really, I was like, fuck, man, like, I don't know. And then she came back, and then we just, since then, have never parted ways.
Yeah.
And then just started this journey together, and, we bounce ideas off each other, and we're both, we want a little bit more out of life, I mean, I don't know. We just have goals, and we just come up with ideas, and we just try to work them out,
So did you fly back, Ashley, to Florida, or did you take your van?
Yeah, I left my bus at a friend's house, and then flew back for a couple weeks to Florida, and then came back.
Yeah, she had a little Ford short bus, and then I had like this old school Ford Econoline with a high top on it.
Yeah.
And I will say too, starting this journey on the road by yourself and then coming into a relationship and combining both worlds and rigs and lives is a transition in itself. So anybody out there listening who has gotten into a couple, we feel you. We are right there with you. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. How's that transition been?
I mean,
he's messy.
You know, sometimes I don't got my priorities so straight, you know.
Yeah.
But we're working on it. Like, I mean, anything, you know, when you're trying to like combine your lives together, it can always be messy, and it's always, you know, especially like we're from opposite ends of the country, you know. So like there's logistics in it, like you know, as far as like her family in Florida, my family's in Oregon, and you know, trying to find a happy medium to where we can both see our family with equal time, you know, things like that. And then just meshing everything. Like she ended up what was it, last January, right, she sold her bus, and then I think this last October I sold my van. And then somewhere in between, we got the 40-foot schoolie to combine, because we knew we were eventually going to go there, and we were kind of like, you know what, if we know that's where we're going,
why not do it now?
Why not just do it now instead of getting another rig that is both of ours, you know, and then building that out and then putting all that time and money into it to just then get rid of it and then go to the next step. So we kind of just skipped a step there and end up getting the 40-foot bus. But you know, with anything, when you're moving in together, and especially two people that, you know, I mean, when you're solo traveling, you know, you're pretty independent, you know what I mean? And then going that, you know,
moving into such a tiny space together.
And that's the thing too, is like, you know, in such a tiny space, like, and in the travelers community and stuff, it's like, you know, you get to know people very well, very quickly. Yep. You know, because it is a small community. You are in small spaces, and you know, really, I look at it like, you know, it's just going to fast track some things. If it's not going to work, we're going to know sooner than later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's going to everything is going to be at the surface sooner than, you know, in the average world where, you know, you date somebody for a couple years or whatever it is, however long that time is, and you move in together, and then you find out like, oh, well, now living with this person, it's a mess, or it's not working. And then, you know, you're invested in it. And I just feel like in the nomadic kind of community, it's like everything is just on the table. Like it's all there. You get to know somebody really.
There's not really many places to hide anything.
You know, yeah. And then, but on a positive side of that too, is like, you really learn how to
communicate.
Like communicate and work through, you know, those times where it's just difficult, you know what I mean? Because you don't have a back bedroom you can go in and hide out, or, you know what I mean? Get that big space, because you're in a small space. You know, the kitchen and the bedroom are the same room, you know? So it's like you really learn how to work through things and try and do it as effective as you can, you know?
100%. And that's one of my favorite things about this is we've learned more about people we spent 2 days or 3 days camped with that we just randomly met than we have with neighbors that we live next door to for 10 years in our houses.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It is. It's crazy.
Because you have real conversations, right? Like you actually want to learn about somebody, just like you said, Jordan. I want to learn, are Ashley and Jordan people we want to meet up with down the road? Or is like, this is one, like we'll just cross once and I'll learn something and go.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is like, not everybody likes everybody either, you know, and that's okay too. It's like, you know, because sometimes you meet up with people and, you know, the vibes don't work out, and that's fine. Like, you know, it's nothing, you know, but what's nice about it is, like you were saying, you know, like you're getting to know somebody in 2 days better than you've known your neighbor for 10 years. And on top of it, I feel like personally, like the conversations that you have with people, you know, it is more real. You're having real conversations with people, not just waving to your neighbor and you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, there's more substance there, and it feels more real. And the thing is, you know, if you don't like your neighbors, you can hop in your house and you can move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's like we've been talking about. It's intentional. It's real. And, you know, hey guys, come on. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it. Being in one spot, like if I stay in one spot for too long, or to be honest, if I had a big old house, I probably wouldn't even know what to do with it.
Sure.
Just like the things we do, it feels right,
So how have you
I mean,
meshed your goals? You guys said that you both had goals and wanting to get more out of life as part of
yeah.
like coming to this lifestyle. How have you meshed that now as a couple living in a bus together?
Well, what was great, I mean, I don't know if you want to take that
I
question
feel
on,
like
but
I feel like we couldn't come from we couldn't come from complete opposite sides of the world and where we come from, where we lived. But I think one thing that does really help us work together is I was in hospitality customer service, and he's really into logistics and kind of doing the background, all the background work. And it's really weird how that worked out, because coming together and starting businesses together and growing businesses together, that couldn't be more of a perfect match, I feel like.
and what did help though is when we first met, there were a lot of things. I mean, like she was saying, I'm from small town Oregon. She's from Miami and Florida. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, there's definitely some differences there, but we had a lot of the same wants in life. We had a lot of the same ideas, and for the most part, like the kind of same ways to kind of go about it. So it just worked, and that's not to say that there isn't struggles. I mean, when you're trying to do so much and already living in a small space and doing all this, and then throwing in trying to build a business together, and like literally every aspect of your life is intertwined.
Yeah.
There are difficulties to that maybe the average couple doesn't have, but overall, everything, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better partner in that. And, even when things may get stressful, we always come back to that communication aspect. But to answer your question, we had a lot of the same goals and the same things we wanted out of life. So it kind of just worked out like that. We just decided to, hey, let's work as a team and do this together.
I love
Yeah.
it. So let's just transition right there. I think that's a great segue. What are we doing business wise? I was looking into your background a little bit, and Ashley, you're into vintage items and thrifting, and Jordan was
Yeah.
into like selling vans. So talk to me about twofold here. One, I know where we're going in the fall, so let's save that for a little bit. Let's talk about how you identified your
Yeah.
unique talents and kind of brought them on the road with you, because I think a lot of people that are thinking about jumping to this life, one of the questions we get all the time is, how do you make money? And what I always like to tell people is, what do
Mm-hmm.
you love to do? And then figure out how to make money doing that. So talk to us about how you brought your skills and turned that into a way to stay on the road.
Okay. Go.
Luckily, during COVID and I had just bought in the bus, I was already working a remote job. So working full-time remotely, that thankfully was not a big transition into bus life. But then after a couple years on the road and still working that job, I realized I was so underpaid and so underappreciated. And Jordan and a couple of my friends, Erica and Trey, they were basically like, F that job. Like, and I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? Like, I don't know anything else. I've never not had a job ever since 15. But I actually ended up listening to them. I left that job, and I don't even know how it came about. I just love clothes. I love fashion. And I had too many clothes to fit in my bus. So, literally, from one day to the next, I listed my clothes on Facebook Marketplace. And from one day to the next, it just took off. All of my clothes basically had sold out within a few months. And I kept that going and writing down my bills and comparing how much I needed to sell in order to make my bills. And now I shop for money, I guess. And I love shopping. Now it's being returned to me financially, and I'm totally covering my bills thrifting.
I
And I
love it.
love doing it. It's super fun.
Yeah. Before I get to Jordan, tell me, what's the biggest thrifting find that you had when you walked in and you saw it? You're like, oh my God, they don't know what they have.
I recently found in Lake Havasu at Goodwill a pair of Gucci heels. I've never I've never owned a Gucci or a name brand designer anything, and I sold that for a couple $100, you know. And this last time we were at kind of like at a garage estate sale, and I got a Dior bag. So it's like treasure hunting.
Without a map, right? You just got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. That's fantastic. Jordan, how about you? How did that translate for you?
Um, I think I found it a little bit more difficult because, mainly what I've kind of done is, like with the vans and stuff, I found a little bit of a gap. Well, so like, one thing that I get from a lot of people that I've talked to is they'll buy a van, they'll put a bunch of money into the build out, and then they'll have an issue with it mechanically, or they might not have known what to look for when finding a vehicle, and they either get in a money pit or they get in a situation that it makes their dream of kind of like living this lifestyle just really difficult, just because they kind of got off on the wrong foot with a vehicle that might not have been the best. So kind of what I was wanting to do is like offer somebody a vehicle that first I was did a couple build outs and stuff like that, and I found like everybody wants something different. So what we found is that if we just kind of give a van a good exterior, some capable tires, but mainly give them a platform that they can do their own DIY build, and make sure that the thing is mechanically sound to where when they buy the vehicle, they don't have to worry about it, including maintenance. Like the next, like one we just got rid of one that it was a lady that she didn't really know much about really anything mechanical or anything into the van. So I told her, I said, hey, listen, you don't have to do anything to this van except in 3,000 miles change the oil. You know what I mean? Everything's kind of been gone through. It's been inspected. It's been, that way somebody can get into something and they can go and they can build it out how they want to. They can live their dream as far as like traveling and doing what they want to do for however long that is, but they don't have to worry about getting into a vehicle that's going to nickel and dime them or leave them stranded on the road. Because I mean, I've heard that so many times, and like even the position that we're in right now and the knowledge that I have about working on them and doing all that, it's still not easy. So I can only imagine how difficult it could be for somebody that doesn't really have the knowledge of, like, you break down on the side of the road and they can bust out their tools and fix it themselves. They're getting tows, and especially with the big buses, when this happened to us, we were looking and they want $1,200 to tow the thing 10 miles, and yeah, I mean, it's hard, so to kind of circle back around to how does that work out on the road is I found it a little bit difficult because, when you're doing vans and you're doing all that stuff, you got to have a lot of tools. You have to, and I mean, going from mechanics tools to construction to like, paint stuff. Cause like, like literally everything that would go into building the van, you got to have those tools. So I had a small shop up in Oregon that I was like, hey, let's let it go and go on the road. But it was kind of difficult because you have to have that space with those tools. And then where are you going to do these jobs at, and you kind of got to just hope for the best and find a good location. And obviously, like, one big thing too is like being mindful of your surroundings, as far as, if you're doing some work on, no matter where you're at, you got to be mindful of, like, the environment. Like, you don't want to contaminate the environment either. Like, you want to make sure that like what you're doing isn't harming the environment, but you're also doing what you need to do, so it's a little bit more logistics that go into it, and making sure that you're, mindful of all that. It is a little bit more difficult than having a shop, of course.
This last van that we just recently did was the first one
we
did on the road.
The fully on the road that we've done. And it worked out great.
Yeah.
It was fine. Like, I mean, one thing that I was really mindful of, like, especially when you're painting a rig, you have so much paper and tape and stuff like that it's really easy. Like if you're in a shop, you unmask everything and you've got, like, you ball it up and you throw it in the trash, you're in a shop. But to make sure, like, I mean, I probably spent 2 or 3 hours just scouring the whole area of where I was working on this thing, just to make sure, like, I didn't leave, a ball of tape somewhere or a piece of plastic somewhere, or, things like that. Because, for one, like, doing that, I don't want to ruin it for the next guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to, give anybody a bad name. And on top of that, like, I don't want to just be putting that out there in the environment. So there's a little bit more, and it is more difficult, obviously, than being in a shop, but it worked out. It worked out. But yeah, man, I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, it's quite a bit more difficult, but it worked. We were able to do it. I don't think we'll have a problem next time. It's just, you got to be more mindful of things.
How many vans would you like to build out a year or get, like, ideally?
I feel like we've been doing 2 to 3 a year.
Yeah, like last year we did, we revamped her bus, and then we did like 3. We also had a couple we kind of, last year we kind of did whatever we could get our hands on. We did, got rid of a few trailers, like a couple buses, a couple 2 or 3 vans, like, so there was quite a bit there. And this year, we'll probably end up doing 3 maybe, but like, I'd ideally like to just keep it around that, like 3-4 vans a year.
It's a lot of work,
because it is a lot of work that goes into it, especially, because honestly, nowadays, when you're looking at vans, everybody wants 10 grand for, a 30-year-old beat up, rusted out van, so it's like, and obviously we have to make money doing it. So it's hard to find those. So like, typically we just find stuff with, that end up being on the cheaper side, but need quite a bit more work.
Yeah.
And then obviously that's just a lot more work going into it. So like, we still list them, kind of like what the market, like what the market provides. And like, we try to stick between the $12,000 and the $15,000 range. So somebody's not like breaking the bank to get in a van.
Right.
But we look at it like, compared to the next ones out there, it's just kind of value. We just want to bring the value. That's the best way I can describe it. To where somebody that's getting into it's a peace of mind thing,
And that's the biggest risk with that van, at least my experience traveling now for, a few years, is the vans and the buses have such a cheap entry point that people get into it. Cause like, I could buy this bus for $6,000, and they get this bus, but they don't realize like there's only certain mechanics that can even work on this engine. And if you're not close to them, like, how are you getting the bus there? And, yeah. So I love that you're actually going to give them, because I think you're right. You're not giving them the build out, right? Because a lot of people want to open that sliding door and see like a kitchen and a compost, a toilet and a shower and a queen bed. And they don't even look at the engine. The damn thing won't get them 10 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it doesn't matter how it looks. It's how far you can go. You know what I mean? And what we noticed too is everybody wants something different. So no matter how we built something out,
it might not work for everyone.
There would always be like, no, well, I'd change this and change that. So we're like, well, hey, why don't you do what you want to do? And we'll just make sure you have a canvas for it that, you can have that peace of mind with this vehicle.
Yeah. And I love it. Now I want to go to one of the reasons I first stumbled across you guys, and I'm really excited to actually meet you in person this September, is the Northwest Nomads.
Yeah.
And I love on the website, it talks about being inspired by the nomadic community, that you want attendees to disconnect from the outside world to get an unforgettable week of music, fires, classes, raffles, and games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's so awesome.
Yeah,
I read that and I'm like, that's fucking perfect, right? Like, put your phones away, like, get off stuff and just enjoy, be present. So talk to us, like, how did you guys come up with like, wait a second, we're going to create an event to even share it bigger?
It's all Jordan's fault.
Well, so kind of going back a little bit, in 2020, 3 friends and myself, like right there in COVID, there was, which I've kind of always wanted to do something like this, right? Like, whether it was necessarily an event or something else, like I always kind of just had this feeling like it's something that I want to do. But in 2020, 3 friends and myself kind of had the idea, hey, let's go ahead and do this, because, a lot of the event spaces for the community weren't going on because of COVID. So we actually just created a free event. Like, it was obviously nothing compared to, what Northwest Nomads is now, but we just wanted to give a space to where people could just come and kind of get that sense of community and kind of feel like, they're still a part of something and they're involved in something. Because I know a lot of people had a lot of difficulties when COVID came through. It isolated a lot of us. Especially
nobody knew what to do.
Right? Yeah, no, really, we did know what to do. And then like, with being, on the move and stuff, so many places were closed down. It made a lot of logistics very difficult. So we threw that event on there in 2020, and it was more or less a one-time thing. Everybody else involved, they all had different things that they were doing, and it was just kind of something we wanted to do as this one-time thing. And then after that, when Ashley and I met, I kind of tossed the idea her way, and she loved it. And we just kind of were like, okay, how are we going to do this? Like, what do we want from this? Like, what are our goals? And it was mainly the fact that, like, I kind of got into the life and wanted life as like, being able to go and do what we want to do, not a big party scene, but like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but with Northwest Nomads, what we wanted to do was kind of create an atmosphere where everyone was welcome, whether that is somebody that is just getting into van life, whether they honestly don't know if it's something they want to do or not, but they're dipping their toe in, they want to just see what it entails, to all the way to people that have been doing it for 20 years, and I feel like we're kind of pulling that off. I always feel like we can communicate our intentions better, but that's a part of growth and kind of longevity. But I think we're doing a really good job of getting those people that have been doing it for a while, and then the people that are just getting into it, and kind of meshing, because the veterans have a lot of ideas and tips and tricks that the younger generations and people that are just getting into it can kind of learn from. And then we also wanted to do something to where not only would people come and just have a great time, but they can leave with some knowledge, or they can leave with something that they can take on, not just like friendships and stuff, because we've met some of I would consider family, some of these events that we've gone to, and complete strangers, and then just talked with, traveled with, become friends, and now it's like now family.
We started off as friends, and we also tried to source absolutely everything from this community. Like our best friend Tyson, who Jordan originally met at the first event. He's now our best friend, and he does our website. Heidi, Wayfinder Bus. She's our photographer. So many musicians in this community, and it's like it's like, I don't know. We
just want to give so we're just trying to create something that, like, actually, and speaking of Tyson, like, he has this saying that I'm sure, a lot of people do, have you heard of, but it's like, all ships rise with the rising tide. Right. So we're trying to create an event to where we're trying to source as much as we possibly can from the nomadic community to help support them. You get their dream or their
support
ideas,
each other and grow together.
Just as much as we possibly can, and because that's really, at the end of the day, what it is about is community and coming together and in a positive atmosphere. Like, we don't, like, at the event, like, we don't any negativity, like, we just don't put up with it if it's, what I mean? I mean, it's just because we want to create a place where everybody feels safe, to where you can just be yourself. You're not going to get any backlash. Just be yourself, and nobody expects anything from anyone. And, just creating a space that everybody can be themselves and ultimately just have a great time. I mean, my mind is just on that subject. My mind goes a million miles an hour. So I'm just thinking it out there, but there's just so many things that we love about it, and that we, and so many ideas that we have that we want to, like, grow into. But just kind of the basics of it is we just want to support the community and give everybody a platform to kind of grow.
Are you excited and or surprised by the growth of Northwest Nomads?
Yes and no. I mean,
our first year was 2020 or 2021? 2021. We did all of it. We put it together, opened the Instagram, got the venue, rented porta potties, booked musicians, all within 3 months.
Yeah, like, we kind of fast tracked.
That was insane.
Like, we knew what we wanted to do, and it was that was jam-packed 3 months of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
But we pulled it off, and like, we had an idea and we wanted to do it now. But it is growing pretty good. And part of me is like, am I surprised? Yes and no. But I would say because no, I say I'm not surprised, but it's because I believe in it so much,
Love
you know,
it.
that I'm like, it's just something that is
There's
like,
been times where it's definitely been hard. Like 2021, when COVID was still around, we didn't know if we could go through with this. We didn't know if this was going to happen, but we kept telling ourselves behind the scenes of we believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
We can do this. And all the tests that came about and all the struggles, and nothing comes easy, and it is not easy at all putting an event like this together, but seeing it all unfold is pretty amazing. And I think we are just as excited as somebody going to the event for their first time. We don't know what to expect, who to expect, who's going to be there. So we're kind of seeing it all happen before our eyes too, because this is not something.
Well, I think the thing is it's like every year can be different on the aspect of like the vibe, because the community brings the vibe. Like we're offering the space and the music and all that, but at the end of the day, the community is what makes it what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and like last year I could not have asked for a better event. Like just everything about the people were amazing. Everything was so positive.
Yeah.
You know, the smile, like
it was good energy.
It was great
throughout the whole entire weekend.
It was amazing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just because we could go to the ends of the earth to do what we think is right and do it, but none of it means anything unless the community is there and they come together. And at the end of the day, they're the ones that make it so amazing, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree that they bring a lot of that, but I also want to commend you two for setting a framework and an expectation that you're going to come in and be accepting and giving and loving, right? That's a word we don't like to use in this world, right? It's not macho enough. It's not tough enough, but we're actually going to show up and just love each other no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah. So looking at this, September 21st to September 25th, 2023 is this year's Northwest Nomads event. Are there still tickets for sale? There you go. Yeah, we're getting excited. There's still tickets for sale, and where can people go if they want to come join us?
Yeah, northwestnomads.com. Cruise over there. You can get all the information you need. Or shoot us a message on Instagram, Facebook. We're here. We're at any point of the day, any question you got, we're happy to answer it. Yeah, man. This year is going to be,
I think this year we are the most excited, going into this.
Yeah, we always say that it's like, oh man, this year's going to be the best. This year's going to be the best. But like, it's just been like that. Like the music that we have, the things that we have going on, like, I don't know. It's just so excited, man. And it's like, it just always just gets better and better.
Yeah. I think, that's the law of life, right? When you put things in motion and you keep going in motion, things reciprocate, right? So you're putting out good vibes to the world. It's going to return it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, man. I hadn't heard of this till Schoolie Palooza. And my wife, don't let her kid you. She has this in an upscale Airstream and stuff, but she's a Schoolie person at heart. Yeah. So we're at like all this stuff.
Any kind of rig is welcome.
That's what, dude, it don't matter if you're sleeping. We had people sleeping in hammocks, man. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Car camping, hammocks, school buses, RV. We're all there for the same reason.
Well,
you know?
Ashley and Jordan, I want to thank you so much for your time. And it's been a true pleasure to get to know you now. And I can't wait to bring the On Purpose podcast out to this year's Northwest Nomads event. It's actually where we're kicking off our year 3 tour of traveling the country, Andrea and I. So we're super pumped. Yeah,
man.
We're coming. But now, before I let you go, I like to close with one thing for our audience around the world, because not all of them are travelers, but they're all going to learn something from us. Ashley, if you think back to your scariest moment, like, oh man, that scary moment where you had to choose to believe in yourself or not, seeing where your life is now, what would you tell your old self? What advice would you give them?
That's a heavy question. I think it's more of where do I want to see myself? What do I want to do with my life? What kind of headspace, mindset like, where do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? And in that moment, that scary moment, if I could just think about that, of what makes me happy, what do I want to do with my life? I think that that's a clear answer in that moment
I love it.
for me.
Yeah. Look for happiness. Jordan, what about you?
Yeah.
I'd have to say in those tough times, man, it just follow your heart. Just keep doing what you believe in.
Yeah.
You know, because I think at the end of the day, that's what pays off for me is just believing in something, and then at all costs just doing it, no matter how tough it gets. Because I mean, believe me, man, there's times where it can get overwhelming, but you know, I mean, the payoff and see, like, especially at Northwest Nomads, you know, seeing it all come together is like, I've never had something so gratifying in my life of just seeing, you know, the effect and the place that it puts people in, and the feelings that it gives them. Like, it's, you know, and it's not, it feels selfish sometimes because it feels so good for us, but like, just seeing, I don't know, man, it's amazing. I could go on forever about it, but it's one of those things that, like, you just got to be there to feel it, you know, and just to follow my heart, man, and just do what I know is right, you know.
I love it. Thank you both so much for joining us. It's been a true pleasure to share your story with the world, and for our traveling community and those that are interested, come join us out in Oregon this fall.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. We're excited to meet you guys in person.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.